The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. With the coming of evening, Jesus said to his disciples, "Let us cross over to the other side." And leaving the crowd behind, they took him, just as he was in the boat, and there were other boats with him. Then it began to blow again, and the waves were breaking into the boat, so that it was almost swamped. But he was in the stern, his head on the cushion, asleep. They woke him and said to him, "Master, do you not care? We are going down." And he woke up and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, "Quiet now, be calm." And the wind dropped, and all was calm again. Then he said to them, "Why are you so frightened? How is it that you have no faith?" They were filled with awe and said to one another, "Who can this be? Even the wind and the sea obey him." The Gospel of the Lord. In these two connecting stories of the Gospel, I would like to begin this homily with certain existential questions connecting to these two stories. One, that Jesus preached to a group of people from morning till evening, and at that moment decided to leave them and left them in reality. Do you think Jesus is being compassionate enough? Do you think he has not lost his fatherly caring ability? If you juxtapose this reading with that of John chapter 6, when he preached to people from morning till evening, and Peter said to him, "Master, send these people back to the country so that they can buy something to eat before it is night." And Jesus said, "No, don't let them go that way," and fed them. Why would he again this period of time to leave them that way and go? Another existential question we shall ask ourselves, that when he has left them and was on boats going to his destination, there was a gale, the wave was blowing against their currents. And the Bible says that Jesus was sleeping. In your imagination, do you think Christ can be sleeping in such tumbling boats, in such condition? If Christ must be sleeping, he must be a wonderful sleeping Christ. Be that as it may, human history has been punctuated with history and movement and mobility, from creation till moments. From creation, God made Adam and Eve, and we are roaming around, moving from one end of the Eden to the other. When Christ came, it was all about movement. God telling Joseph to take Mary to Egypt, bring back to Israel, and it has all been movement. Until the moment of the Cold War. After the Cold War, human mobility and movement was tagged a threat to human security. A lot of states, a lot of countries, we are creating laws against immigration to safeguard their citizens. Jesus, on today's occasion, made a movement leaving the crowd. He didn't leave the crowd because he lacked fatherly compassion. He didn't leave the crowd because he hated them. He left the crowd for so many reasons. He has preached to them from morning till night. Ordinarily, as a human being, he must be exhausted. He needed rest. Every human being deserves to rest after hustling and bustling of a day. It is something very, very necessary, both for the salvation of the soul and the salvation of the body. Salus animarum et corpus. It is very, very necessary. Jesus has to leave them because if he continues to be with them, certainly he will not rest. And that will impair his health. He also needed to be one aside with his apostles so that they can evaluate themselves so far. Telling you at times it's necessary to check the crowd. Don't continue to be in the crowd. Crowd has a lot of challenges in the world. God didn't create us as a group of people. God created us as an individual. So if you follow the crowd, your personality will be swallowed up. Your potentials will be swallowed up. Everything about you will not be known. You needed to withdraw from the crowd. God will not judge us as a crowd. He will judge us as an individual. You need to withdraw from the crowd. Crowd serves as a hindrance in most of everything we do. In fact, in a crowd, one doesn't have the sense of his own. I tell you a story. Time was when there was a little fracas in South Africa, and the South Africans were killing Nigerians who were there. There was all these things. So, and the South Africans have a big shopping mall in Enugu State called ShopRite. So, out of anger, people were revolting, going there to break down the shop and a whole lot of things. And a driver was passing and I called one of them, asked him, "Why are you people destroying the shop?" He said he doesn't know that he saw people breaking it and he joined. Problem of crowd. If you are in a crowd, you wouldn't have sense of your own. No wonder Zacchaeus in the Gospel of Luke saw Jesus Christ being pushed over and left, by the crowd. He left the crowd, knowing very well that if he insists to see Christ through this crowd, surely he will not have his way. And he left the crowd, went afar, and stood out of the crowd. And Christ recognized him. And mindless of the thousands of people who are following Christ, he didn't recognize any of them, calling them by name, except those people who Eve also did something about as an individual, like the hemorrhage woman, and then Zacchaeus. We should always take a break from the crowd to think about our life. Those groups of people you are following, always you are with them, you have not had private time to think about your life. Sometimes withdraw from them so that you ask yourself, all these are movements, our going and coming, are they for my good, the good of my heart and the good of my soul? That's why Jesus withdrew from the crowd and made a journey into the boat, away from the presence of the crowd. Personally, I wouldn't think that Christ could be sleeping in the boat, because ordinarily no human being can sleep in such situation. Yeah, let alone Christ who has power as God and as human. But what happened is this. Some social media analysis says, if you run it on your own, it is called race. If God runs it for you, it is called grace. The apostles, while they were in the boat, things were flowing very well for them. They didn't remember there was Christ behind. They were running it on their own. It was race. So Christ, in order to draw their attention back to himself, that temptation came. And they now realized that there is Christ. And when Christ came, used his divine authority, it was grace. We need always in our life to always remember that Christ is there. He has died upon the cross and spread out his hands to welcome us morning, afternoon, and evening. In extension, the apostles, yes, they may have forgotten the presence of Christ when things were moving well for them. But one good thing is that when it was not within their power again to control things, they remembered that there was another power, which philosophers called unmoved mover. And they went back to the Master. In our challenging moments, when we lack peace in our life, when it seems it is night even though it is day, when there is no light at the end of the tunnel of our life, to whom do we run to? Do we still remember that God is there? Or our problems will make us to forget God and believe that this God is not a caring Father? To believe that God no longer loves me. Especially if you look at your life, you take a video coverage of your life so far, you feel like you have sinned more than the world, and as such, God may be punishing you because of your sin. Not at all. In every situation, may we remember that there is that God who cares for us. Again, when there is no hope, God giveth hope. When we run to God, he will run to us. When we go to God, he will come to us. May we not also go to God only when we have his needs. May we go to him in good and in bad time. You are living is enough testimony to say, Lord, I am grateful. It is only the living that have challenges and problems. The dead do not know about problem. So while you are living and still breathing, mindless of the challenges and problems, always say, Lord, I thank you. The psalm says, Lord, I thank you for punishing me. Be appreciative of God for your breath. Let us not meet God only when we need him. Let us also know that God is the warrior. He is the powerful. He is everything. The omnia in omnibus. We run to God like a kid. I tell you this story. If you are walking with a kid on the way, and another person, frighten the child, you see the child run to the mom, probably behind the mom, or hold the mom tight. That holding means, I believe in you, I trust in you, go and fight my enemies. He believes that the mother is more powerful than any other person. And with his mother, he is covered. With God, we are covered. If you always go to God, I'm sure he will never let us down. It may appear very dark, but surely the light will come. In God is peace. In God is hope. No wonder that's him. Peace, perfect peace, is the gift of Christ the Lord. Peace, perfect peace, is the gift of Christ the Lord. Thus is the world will know, my friends. Peace, perfect peace, is the gift of Christ the Lord. If we run to him, we shall certainly have peace. If he comes in our life, as he went to the life of the apostles, he will say to every problem, be quiet.